Good evening. Please rise as we welcome in Yeshivat Maharat's board, faculty, students, graduates, and alumni. On behalf of Yeshivat Maharat's Board of Directors, I want to welcome you to our 6th Semikha ceremony. Welcome to our many distinguished rabbis and lay leaders, to the family members and friends of tonight's Musmachot, and to our many supporters and community friends. We are so pleased to be celebrating with you tonight. As of tonight, Yeshivat Maharat will have 26 graduates. Graduates are proudly serving in day schools, synagogues, hillels, and other Jewish institutions, and are leading and inspiring individuals and communities. To date, Yeshivat Maharat students and graduates have already impacted over 50 communities around the world, sharing their scholarship, talent, and passion for our Jewish text and tradition. As my tenure as board chair comes to a close, there is indeed much to be proud of. We have grown our budget to over $1.7 million, up 36% from last year, with over 14 prestigious foundations and over 500 donors partnering with us to envision and build a reality in which our children grow up with both men and women as their rabbinic leaders, inspiring them with a relevant, rigorous, and meaningful Judaism that places a premium on Jewish values and practice. This year, we are particularly grateful to the Bells Foundation for naming the Bells Center for Halachic Studies, joining the Lindenbaum family and Aviv Foundation in becoming sustaining donors. It has been a privilege serving in this role, and I look forward to continuing to work with the professional and lay leadership of Maharat as we strive to reach new heights. The future of Maharat is indeed bright, as we are focused on recruiting the most qualified female Orthodox rabbinic candidates, continuing to build our program with excellence, and strategically engaging Jewish communities worldwide with our message and values. I welcome Abigail Lindenbaum-Tambor as the new board chair, and know that she will shepherd the growth of this incredible and important institution with her leadership and talent. Join me in welcoming forward Yeshivat Maharat's president, Rabbi Sarah Hurwitz, whose remarkable vision and dedication are unparalleled.
Wow. Tali, Dina, Claudia, Laya, and Melissa, as well as our executive track, Kollel Ordination, Wendy, and Erin. In just a few moments, you will officially receive Semikha and walk through this threshold to join your colleagues in Avodat HaKodesh, in doing God's work. But first, I want to reflect on those who helped get us here today. The Gemara in Brachot teaches the famous story of the demise of the Beit Midrash of Rabban Gamliel. His Beit Midrash in Yavne was reserved for the elite, where only a select few were granted entry to a world of Torah. I imagine it to be a bare, cold, and empty space, until Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah came in and said, Oto hayom, that same day, on that day, silkuhu lishomer hapetach v'nitna lahem rishut l'talmidim l'chanes. They removed the doorkeeper, and permission was granted to the students to enter. On his very first day on the job, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah threw open the doors of the study center, and Talmidim streamed in, crowding around the newly constructed benches inside the revered hall of study. The Gemara goes on to present two opinions on how many seats were actually added. Some say 400, some say 700. 400, 700, why does it matter? The Ketav Sofer suggests that there's really no machloket. You see, 400 physical benches were added, but the atmosphere of this new Beit Midrash, filled with a kol Torah of multiple voices and perspectives, felt as if there were 700 benches. And I imagine, I know, if Rabbi Elazar were living today, his Beit Midrash would extend to women as well. This is the Beit Midrash, my dear Talmidot, that you have inherited. One with open doors and many benches, preparing you to assume the mantle of leadership. Where now that you're part of the fabric of the Beit Midrash, you also occupy the bima, the classroom, hospitals, funeral chapels. You're authors of Piskei Halacha and heads of religious institutions. It is this Beit Midrash of Rabbi Elazar that has allowed for the proliferation of scholarship and dynamic leadership. And tonight, I want to recognize the Rabbi Elazars of our generation, who have courageously removed barriers and opened our study halls to allow for a multiplicity of voices and for Torah to soar further and higher. There are many of you in this room, but tonight I just want to focus on a few. First, I turn to you, Rabbi David Silber, founder of the Drisha Institute for Jewish Education. Where I too had the privilege to study, you were among the first to fling open the doors of the Beit Midrash to women. We are grateful to you, especially this year, as you've entrusted us with the safekeeping and use of Drisha Sfarim in America as you continue on your journey to Israel. Thank you. And I turn to my own faculty and staff. Each of you are door openers, contributing to the aesthetics and the Torah that emanates from our study halls, led by Rosh HaYeshiva, Rabbi Jeff Fox, and co-founder and my co-founder of Yeshivat Maharat, my mentor, Rabbi Avi Weiss, and we're so grateful. And we're so grateful to you, Rabbi Sperber, for all you have done to make this dream happen. And we're so thrilled to welcome Rabbanit Devar Zlachauer to our team as our new dean. And to you, our lay leaders, Yeshivat Maharat's board, you too have opened up the doors of the Beit Midrash. This summer, we'll be transitioning our board chair and are so thrilled to welcome Abigail Tambor Lindenbaum, who says in her own words that this project of demanding excellence from women and creating equity is literally in her blood. And as we welcome Abigail, I want to turn to you, Ariel, our outgoing board chair, for whom this project has been intrinsic to your daily life over these past 3 years. You, Ariel, live the Torah, Rabbi Elazar, day in and day out, working tirelessly with so much wisdom and love to expand the walls of our community, creating a more equitable and better world. I want to personally thank you for believing in my leadership, for your friendship, for being a hands-on partner in this dream, for having the brilliance, tact, and skills to help make our yeshiva flourish. In honor of your service, I want to announce that this year we will add a course on synagogue skills building, including enhancing our students' gabait, laning, and shaliach tzibor skills. And today in particular, I want to honor and recognize another Rabbi Elazar of our generation. You, Esther Krauss, a founder of Maharat, Yeshiva High School for Girls, have literally added thousands of safsalim, of benches, to the Beit Midrash, giving women a front seat at the learning table. Esther saw the pages of the Talmud were restricted to men, and so with humility and a deep sense of purpose, she removed the guards from the Beit Midrash and gave girls the opportunity to learn Talmud on a high level. But that's not all. She recognized the ways in which she herself was kept out of learning centers and served as a dugma ishit, an example of deep and endless commitment to expanding and deepening one's Torah by spending the last 3 years learning in Yeshivat Maharat Beit Midrash. And when I asked the graduates to articulate what it has meant to have to have a trailblazer, a Talmidah Chachma in their midst, they said, so much of what happens in our Beit Midrash was made possible because of educators like Esther Krauss, who pushed for people like us to get high-quality Torah education in high school. Thank you, Esther. Thank you for flinging open the doors, for nurturing the spark compassion of women's scholarship, for allowing thousands of young women's Torah to flourish. Esther, please join me up here. Please come up. And please, as you're coming up, this very small token of our appreciation. Although you will be returning to Eretz Israel next year with your family, we hope that you'll come visit and drop into our Gemara shir, in which this year we will be studying this Masechet Beitza, and this particular Masechet is now filled with brachot from Yeshivat Maharat students and alumni. Esther Krauss, thank you for coming to offer a charge and brachot to this year's Semikha class. Thank you.
Thank you. Whoops. Thank you very much, Rabbi Sarah, for inviting me to join such an illustrious past, the heroes of illustrious past, and of the people, so many people, as you said, who are here today. Whoops. I will try to discharge my role here in the 3 to 5 minutes allotted to me. After all, like me, you have come to hear from the women of the hour, or the women of the century, and to celebrate with them. So I won't burden you with trying to explain how a graduate of Beis Yaakov came to be invited to give a charge to 7 remarkable women who have been ordained into the Orthodox rabbinate, except to say that it is a story of the tremendous growth of Torah learning for women over the past century. As a Beis Yaakov girl, I have to say that we owe a great debt of gratitude to an extraordinarily courageous Hasidic woman named Sarah Schneera, who in 1918 created a revolution in public Torah education for women. It is a fascinating story that has grown by the continued courage of so many other men and women through all kinds of twists and turns and in a multitude of different ways, and has brought us this evening in 2018 to your graduation. I know that you are aware, my dear fellow students, I know that you are aware, and teachers, I know that you are aware that there are challenges ahead of you, as I was when I started my note. I'd like to suggest that we were brought together at Maharat, not by accident, but in order to offer each other hope and inspiration in our mutual pioneering efforts. As Rabbi Tarfon says in the second parak of Pirkei Avot, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, velo ata ben chorin libatel mimena. What better gift can one receive than to find one's work has borne fruit and will continue to flourish by your efforts. In fact, next year, if I may say, one of your fellow classmates, Tali Shalm, who was a former student of Mayanot, will, Be'ezrat Hashem, also be receiving her education here, her ordination here. I hope that my presence at Mayanot will be Ezrat. I hope that my presence at Mayanot, at Maharat, has indeed in some small way inspired you, as your often embarrassing words of appreciation have inspired me. I don't know if you can fully understand how much has changed for women's inclusion in Torah studies and Torah life, even since the 1990s. I hope that I've given you hope and encouragement to continue your battle for Torah, Milchamta shel Torah, not only for Jewish women, but for the entire Jewish community. One of the most challenging efforts in every high school is to inspire teenagers in tefillah. And that is especially true for girls, who have few ways to play an active role. But don't we all struggle for authentic and consistent kavanah in our tefillah? It is no wonder that we are challenged by the awe and reverence of standing in the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabbi Ezra Bick, in his VBM course on tefillah, explains the strange intrusion of the Kedusha of the angels in the midst of the introductory blessing to Kriyat Shema and Amidah, whose theme is actually gratitude to Hashem for his goodness in creating our world anew each day. He cites a midrash that posits that similarly, Bashamayim, in heaven, God creates anew each day angels to pray in his holy presence. Why? As a lesson for us on how ideally we should strive before him in prayer, to stand in prayer, to emulate the Kedusha of the Malachim, who literally stand in his presence, is a most difficult challenge for us mortals. But I'd like to suggest, based on an insight from our Israeli shul rabbi, Rabbeinu Lau, that there is a more accessible message inherent in the description of the relationship between those angels as they prepare to proclaim Kedusha as we do together. V'chulam mekablim aleim ol malchut shamayim zeh mizeh, v'notnim reshut zeh lazeh, v'bahava reshut zeh lazeh, l'akdish leyotzram b'nachat ruach, b'safa brura u'ne'ima, Kedusha, kulam ke'echad, onim v'omrim b'yirah. Kadosh, 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 Hashem Tzvaot, Malei Kol Haaretz Kvodo. In other words, standing in the presence of God, whether alone or together with other Jews, requires not only an awareness of being in his holy presence, but a concomitant awareness of and respect for all who, like us, were created b'tselem Elokim, in his image. My dear teachers, fellow students, and all of you who have become my very dear friends, I am grateful to have been welcomed so graciously into your midst, into your Gemara classes, and have learned much from who you are and what you stand for. I have watched you in admiration as you stood in the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I have been humbled by your intellect and your passionate commitment to rigorous Torah study and to the minutiae of halakha that can sometimes be very challenging for us as women. I have been profoundly moved by your instinctive concern for all people, in your fierce dedication to social justice. I have been inspired by your interaction with one another, the respect, the care, the support that you offer each other in crises as well as in joyous occasions, and so much else in between. I've loved your playfulness, your humor, and even your kvetching in the lighter moments. I've enjoyed your newsletter. I've enjoyed reading your newsletter called Maharat every day, and your never-ending messages on WhatsApp. Although, I must confess, I don't always understand your cultural references. And that often makes me feel quite ancient. Those qualities, together with the excellent Torah preparation you have received in Halakha, Gemara, Agadah, Chassidut, and as well as from an outstanding pastoral counseling program, from devoted faculty who stand behind you always, you are very well positioned to become great Torah leaders. I look forward to taking great pride in hearing of your many, many accomplishments as you continue to contribute to Jewish life and to the Jewish community in the years to come. Chelchen LeTorah. At this time, I have the honor to call upon our esteemed masmichim, our esteemed rabbis, to begin this year's 6th annual Semikha ceremony.
Tali Adler, please rise.
Tali Adler has been found worthy to be a spiritual leader, to teach the Jewish people and decide matters of Jewish law with a degree of Torah Be'isur Veheter. Avital Sarah, Bat David Naftali Veriki Leah Lemishpachat Adler, Nimtsa'a Ru'uya Lihiot Manhiga Ruchanit, Lehorot Livnei Ulivnot Yisrael, Alkein Samchinan Ota Bismicha, Umuteret Lifsok B'inyanei Halacha Alpi, Torah Be'isur Veheter. I forgot your class.
There is a midrash that describes Aaron's final chavruta. The story is different from the way it's told in this week's parsha. As the midrash tells it, at the hour of Aaron's death, God appears to Moshe and asks him to tell Aaron that he will soon die. And so Moshe, faced with an impossible task, takes a Torah and goes to Aaron early in the morning. I dreamed a dream, he says, about a davar, a matter, a word, and I don't remember what it is. Maybe if we learn together, I can remember it. And so they learn together, starting with Breshit. And every time they read about a new creation, Aaron says, God did well. And then they reach Adam's sin and the beginning of death in the world. And Moshe says to Aaron, and here too, did God do well here? And Aaron replies, of course. Adam sinned, God gave him every opportunity, and Adam brought death upon himself and his descendants. But then Moshe asks a question. What about us? We're old men. How much time do you think we have left? A few years? And Aaron says, that's not very much. And so Moshe continues, reducing the amount, little by little, until he arrives at that very day, until Aaron realizes what it is that Moshe dreamed and asks a question. Shema bishvili hu hadavar. Perhaps the matter, the word, is for me. It's a sad story, but it's also a story that tells us about what Torah can be. We have a choice when we learn Torah. We can read and we can learn and we can treat it as something external to ourselves. And I love that sort of Torah. I love a chavruta where we read and reread and argue and finally understand. I love this sort of chavruta where as we close our books, I smile and say, God did well. But there are other moments and other chavrutas. There are moments when we learn Torah not only to discover the words on the page, but to remember truths hidden within ourselves. There are moments where we learn not to make order, but to expose the contradictions, those on the page, those in the world, and those in our hearts. There are moments when the most important sentence, the most important truth, is the single hardest one. Perhaps the matter is for me. And the truth is, I love that Torah more. I believe in Torah that is profoundly personal. I believe in Torah that allows us to be brave and to be frightened and to be vulnerable. I believe in Torah that helps us tell the truth about our lives. This is the Torah that brought me here today, and this is the Torah I hope, I pray, I will have the merit to teach all my life. Because I believe with all my heart that the answer is yes. I believe that the davar, the word, the matter, the Torah, is for me.
Dina, Brauer, please rise. Achotenu, at hayi le'alfei revava.
I was told not to speak, but I'm not listening. I feel I have to make you fully aware of the realization that this is a truly historic moment. Because less than a decade ago, an Orthodox woman rabbi was an anomaly and couldn't be taken seriously. This status has now become a normative minority, and that's due to the vision of Rav Avi, the dynamism of Rabbi Sarah, the halachic erudition of Rabbi Jeff Fox, and the motivation, but even more than that, the passion of our graduates. I'm keeping it short. Dina Brauer has been found worthy to be a spiritual leader, to teach the Jewish people and decide matters of Jewish law with a degree of Torah be'isur ve'heter. Nechama Dina בת שמחה והרב שלום נמצאה ראויה להיות מנהיגה רוחנית להורות לבני ולבנות ישראל, על כן סמכינה נותר בסמיכה ומותרת לפסוק בענייני הלכה על פי תורה באיסור והיתר.
One night, midway through my studies at Yeshivat Maharat, I was gliding through the quiet, moonlit canals of Venice in a gondola. It was not an ordinary gondola ride. I was led by Chiara, Venice's first and only female gondoliera, on her very first day on the job. In the tradition of the Baal Shem Tov, who suggests that in every experience we ought to find a message to inform our Avodat Hashem, my nocturnal trip along the canals of Venice informs how I see my role as a rabbi. As a gondoliera, guiding passengers through the intricate and magnificent waterways of Torah. The Torah is often imagined as a body of water. The prophet Isaiah cries, Hoi kol tzameh, lechu lamayim. All those who are thirsty, go to the water of Torah. And the Talmud imagines halacha as a meandering river with the expression nehara nehara upashte, taking each student of Torah in a particular direction. Later on, scholars refer to the corpus of the Talmud as the Yam Shel Talmud, the sea of Talmud, perhaps because of its immeasurable depths. As a gondoliera, I look forward to guiding people on their journey of Torah. Notably, gondoliers do not wait passively for business. If you've ever visited Venice, you know how bellicose gondoliers can be in vying for customers. They compete openly and constantly. They holler, they sing, they gesticulate wildly. This relentless drive to ply one's trade, this entrepreneurial spirit is, I believe, an appropriate model for today's rabbi. This is an incredibly important time to be a rabbi. The world is in flux, society is broken, and we are surrounded by a cynical, post-truth culture. Judaism has much to offer this spiritually parched world. Like an ambitious gondolier, the entrepreneur rabbi does not wait for people to find her in the Bet Midrash or at the pulpit, but she finds them. She goes out to the street, calling, cajoling, inviting individuals to join her on what promises to be a life-transforming journey through the causeways and canals of Torah. Chachmot b'chutz tarona, barachavot titen kola. Wisdom cries aloud in the street. In the market, she raises her voice. I'm honored to take my place alongside the other women and men who have chosen to serve in this most noble of callings. And I pray that together we may bring meaning, inspiration, and healing to the many lives we set out to touch. Thank you.
Claudia Marbach, please rise. Achotenu, at hayi la'alfei revava.
Claudia Marbach has been found worthy to be a spiritual leader, to teach the Jewish people and decide matters of Jewish law with the degree of Torah Be'isur veheter. Tzipora Miriam, bat Yosef Halevi v'Yehudit, nimtza'a ru'uya lihiyot manhiga ruchanit, lohorot livnei ulivnot Yisrael, al kein samchinan ota bismicha, umuteret livsok binyanei halacha al pi Torah bi'isur veheter. B'siman tov u'mazel tov. Mazal tov. Always remember this moment. Mazal tov.
I recently learned the Mishnayot of Seder Teharot. And I was struck by the complexity of the system it describes, all but lost, of purity and impurity. One of the Mishnayot stopped me in my tracks. In the midst of a mass of halachic details about situations that make people, food, and utensils pure or impure, we read, Tinok shnimtza b'tzad beit hakvarot v'shoshanim biyado. If a toddler is found at the edge of a graveyard holding lilies in her hand, ve'en hashoshanim ela v'mkom hatuma, and the only lilies around are in the impure place, tahor, she is pure. The imagery arrests me. Amongst all the inanimate objects, the liquids, the reptiles, the corpses, the guk, that cause impurity, we encounter this living child. Who is she?
What is she doing at the edge of the cemetery? Seeking a lost parent, or neglected and lost herself, having wandered off unnoticed? The author of this Mishnah is troubled too. By law, the impurity of the flowers should make the child impure. If so, this would prevent a passing adult from picking her up and comforting her. Then suddenly, and unusually, the Mishnah pivots to the first person. Sha'ani omer, acher liktan, v'natan lo. For I may say, someone else picked them and gave them to her. This first-person construct conventionally introduces a legal fiction. But I wonder if the shift from the generic to the individual, from the technical to the personal, signals something more. It compels us as readers to engage, to join in seeing this young girl with kindness and mercy. Casting aside the obvious explanation that the child had picked the lilies herself inside the cemetery, the Mishnah offers the child the benefit of the doubt. It brings us into the story and puts into our mouths words of rachmanut, or compassion. In its combination of halachic rigor and human sensitivity, this Mishnah epitomizes to me what our 4 years at Yeshivat Maharat has been about. Not only engaging us in deep study, but helping us cultivate compassion. This is what I aspire to continue in my rabbinate, working for a world where Talmidei Chachamim marbim shalom ba'olam, playing my role to teach, to learn Torah, and to make the world a more compassionate place.
Laya, Sarna, please rise. Achotenu, at hayi le'alfei revava.
Laya Sarna. Has been found worthy to be a spiritual leader to teach the Jewish people and decide matters of Jewish law with a degree of Torah be'isur v'heter. Leah, Livia, Bat Yonatan, Daniel, Vaharaba, Ruth, Lemishpachat Sarna. Nimsa'a ru'uya liyot manhiga ruchanit, Laharat livnei ulevanat Yisrael, al kain samchinan ota besmicha, umoteret lifsach b'inyanei halacha, al pi Torah be'isur v'heter.
The story is told that when I was 3 years old, my parents brought me on my first trip to Israel. And of course, where do you bring your 3-year-old on her first trip to Israel but, yes, of course, you guessed it, the Shrine of the Book. In the early morning of a Jerusalem summer, our family went to the Israel Museum to introduce my brother and me to the earliest extant manuscripts of Tanakh, the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Shrine of the Book is a dark room, and the great Isaiah scroll looms large in its center. 3-year-old Laya saw the Isaiah scroll and began to shout, "Torah, Torah, Torah, Torah!" The Talmud Bavli records the rabbis asking a harrowing question. Torah, ma teheh aleha? The Torah, what is to become of her? For the authors of the Dead Sea Scrolls, the answer was, bury it in caves. They believed that for the Torah to be preserved, it should be sealed up and stored away. And their texts were lost for nearly 2,000 years. It's a miracle that we have them. But the rabbis in that very same historical period were asking the same question, and their answers were radically different. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in Brachot 35b used this very question to argue for full-time immersive Torah study, like what we find in our yeshivot today. Rabbi Yossi in Kiddushin 52b and Nazir 49b used this question to motivate himself to speak out, to raise up students who had been silenced. He asked himself, if I don't stand up for these students and their questions, what will happen to the Torah? The Torah, what is to become of her? This is a question for the generations. This question calls us, begs us to make bold decisions about who we teach and where and how. What is to become of the Torah? That's up to us. Do we roll it in a corner, as suggested by the evil Hasmonean king Yanai in Kiddushin 66a, or into a cave like the authors of the Dead Sea Scrolls? Or do we bring the Torah out into the light of day, opening her up to every kind of student and every kind of question with a promise of delight and mystery and homecoming? In this moment, in this juncture of our lives as students of Torah, we receive our Semikha, and we take responsibility for asking this question and for shaping our world in answer to it. The Torah that captivated me as a 3-year-old in the Israel Museum was a Torah that stood grand, but behind glass, in a dark room. Today, as I receive my Semikha and commit to a life of service, I commit to learning and teaching a Torah that was given on a mountaintop, but is today carried by the people. A Torah that lives in the sunlight, open to questions, responsive to need, and pushing towards righteousness. Blessed are you, Hashem, train me in your laws. Baruch atah Adonai, lamdeni chukecha.
Melissa Skolton Gutierrez, please rise. Achotenu at hayi le'alfei revava.
Melissa Skolton Gutierrez has been found worthy to be a spiritual leader, to teach the Jewish people and decide matters of Jewish law with a degree of Torah be'isur v'heter. Miriam Laya bat Yocheved bat Yisrael nimsa'a ru'at hayot manhiga ruchanit laharat livnei v'lebanot Yisrael al kain samchinan ota besmicha umoteret livsoch ba'anyanei halacha al pi Torah be'isur v'heter.
Layehudim haita ora v'simcha v'sason v'yikar. The Jews enjoyed light and gladness, happiness and honor. Just sit with those 4 words a moment. Light, gladness, happiness, honor. These 4 descriptors are so central to Jewish tradition that we not only recite them aloud communally during the reading of Megillat Esther on Purim, but also every week during Havdalah. We ask everyone to engage in verbalizing our joy. But saying it is one thing, and doing it is another. As the psalmist writes, Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha. Serve God with joy. Eved is both service of God and work in general. And I don't think that's accidental. Spending your life in service of God is hard work. Spreading joy and light is hard work, but it's worth it. Even Rashi notes that God gives schar, reward, for doing work with joy. If it wasn't worth it, we would not be rewarded in Olam Haba. It is also hard work to make light. As Rabbi Herzl Hefter pointed out in a recent visit to the yeshiva, it takes a great effort to create oil, which can then be turned into light. And so, any time in which we commit to bringing light, we commit to doing a great amount of work. And yet, we say people radiate with joy. I think we want to believe that it is effortless, so that when we fail, we can play it off. We want to believe that others are better at happiness because it is just who they are. If we believe it takes work to do it, then we all have the capacity to work harder and spread more light and spread more joy. Well, guess what? We do. In the words of one of my lifelong rebbeim, John Lennon, when I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wrote down, happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignment, and I told them they didn't understand life. This is how I approach my life and my rabbinate. And I invite you, and you, and you, to join me, to accept the charge to Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha.
Jacob Matthias and Hans Lippershey, living in the Netherlands in 1608, crafted the very first telescope. Galileo became involved just a few years later. Isaac Newton tweaked it again in 1688. Fast forward 300 years, and we enter the dawn of Hubble. Today, James Webb, as well as the ALMA Observatory, are peering into deep space and deep time in ways that Galileo could never have imagined. Space is quite literally getting closer. We are now seeing echoes, or perhaps the tremors, of the Big Bang, reverberations of Vayehi Or. We are seeing the past in order to appreciate the present and imagine a different future. Friends, open your hearts. A story of a wayward prince. The king and the queen were distraught. Their son had not come home for nearly 2 years. They were at their wits' end. The queen took matters into her own hand, and she procured the royal telescope. She took that telescope and put it just outside the palace walls, pointing the telescope directly at the window of the prince. People lined up around the palace wall, hundreds, thousands of people coming to peer into the royal palace. The prince took his place at the back of the line. Eventually his turn arrived, and he peered into the telescope, peering into his room that had not been changed in nearly 2 years. And the prince began to cry. He realized the world he left behind. He realized that his parents must be in great pain. He quickly ran to the palace and was reunited with his loving family. What Galileo, Newton, and the Queen understood was the power of seeing the way things were, the way things are, to help us imagine the way things ought to be. What might we see if we looked through a Jewish telescope? That is the work of learning in the Maharat Beit Midrash. We peer into the past of our Masorah in order to understand the present, that we might imagine a new future. Just before the Jewish people in the Midbar began to march, in Parshat Bahalotcha, just a few weeks back, Moshe turns to his father-in-law, says to Yitro, "Don't leave us, we need you to come along." Yitro demurs and says, "I don't want to come." Moshe turns one last time, pleading, turns to Yitro, "V'hayita lanu le'einayim." You will be our eyes. Moshe understood that Yitro was the telescope for the Jewish people. In order to understand what a contemporary Jewish telescope might look like, it is my honor to share a few words and introduce you to the 2018 Musmachot of Yeshivat Maharat. Tali Adler. You bring together a keen intellect, a warm heart, and a caring neshama. Your students in Yeshivat Hadar are lucky to have such an amazing Rebbe who brings so many diverse talents to the world of Torah. Your telescope gives you moral clarity despite the complexity of the world in which we live. Tali Adler, v'hayit lanu le'einayim. Dina Brauer. From the spiritual depths of Chabad Chassidut to the far reaches of contemporary philosophy, you make every dichotomy feel false. You know how to build institutions and, to borrow a phrase, to be a lamplighter. You ignite the people around you with the fire of Torah. Your telescope allows you to see the spiritual needs of the people right in front of you. Dina Brauer, v'hayit lanu le'einayim. Claudia Marbach. For 4 years, you pushed us all to think more carefully, not only about the content of what we taught, but also the way in which we teach. You bring so many skills, a world of creativity, pottery, art, chickens, nature, and joy, to your Torah life. Your telescope gives you an eye into the human heart. Claudia Marbach, v'hayit lanu le'einayim. Leah Sarna, you come to the Beit Midrash, to the shul, with a depth of learning, together with a soul that is yearning to reach the heavens, a rare combination of mind and spirit. Your passion is contagious. It fills the room, as it did our Beit Midrash for 4 years. Your telescope allows you to see beyond the noise and drill down to what really matters. Leah Sarna, v'hayit lanu le'einayim. Is that rain? Hopefully it'll be less hot outside. Melissa Skolten Gutierrez. Your commitment to bring robust Jewish content is an inspiration for all of us and a reminder that the Torah that we learn in yeshiva can be transformative to the lives of people who aren't always immersed in the Daled Amot of halakha. That passion is only eclipsed by your commitment to your amazing children, to Izzy and Evie, and your awesome husband, Rav Nachum. Your telescope is your family in all of its glory. They ground you and give you vision for what Torah can be in this world. Melissa Skolten Gutierrez, v'hayit lanu le'einayim. We are blessed this year to also be graduating 2 members of our advanced Kollel executive ordination track. These are women who have been learning and teaching for many years. They will be receiving their klafim in just a few moments. Wendy Amslem, you have been teaching Torah and cultivating students for many years. There are countless Drisha high school girls, adult learners, scholar circle students who turn to you for guidance. In the past 2 years, you have shared your passion and love for Gemara with our students and with our faculty. And our students will in turn share their Torah with their many students. Your telescope is one of transmitting our Masorah with passion and love to others. Wendy Amslem, v'hayit lanu le'einayim. Dr. Erin Leib, Smokler. You have been part of the journey of Yeshivat Maharat since before the beginning, sitting in Starbucks, dreaming about the integration of pastoral Torah into the classic Semikha curriculum. And here you sit today. You are a Rebbe to so many, both within the walls of our yeshiva and without. Your telescope is, of course, the Piazetzner Rebbe, who walks with you to every shiur. Dr. Erin Leib, Smokler, v'hayit lanu le'einayim. What will the telescopes of the 21st century look like? What will we see as we continue to peer into deep space and deep time? My bracha to each of the graduates is that you go out into the world and build your own telescope, the one that you need, the one that your community needs. I bless you like Galileo and Hubble before you. Look back into the past of our treasured Masorah, so that we can together appreciate the Jewish life of today and help imagine the Jewish community of the future. Mazal Tov. It is now my pleasure and honor to recognize my colleagues, this year's Kollel graduates, Wendy and Erin, as we continue our Semikha ceremony.
Wendy Amsalem, please rise. Achotenu. Brachotenu at hayi la'alfei revava.
Wendy Amsalem has been found worthy to be a spiritual leader, to teach the Jewish people and decide matters of Jewish law with the degree of Torah, Be'isur veheter. Chava Aviva Aliza Bat Fega Rezel v'Yosef Nimtza'a Ru'uya Lihiyot Manhiga Ruchanit Lahorot Livnei Ulivnot Yisrael Al Ken Samchinan Ota Bismicha Umuteret Livsok Bahalacha Al Pi Torah Be'isur veheter, B'siman tov u'mazel tov. One moment.
Thank you. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg tells the following story. In 1956, during her first year of law school, she and the handful of other women in her class were asked by the law school dean to justify taking the place of a man at Harvard Law School. Justice Ginsburg said that at that point she had not yet fully discovered her feminism, and she was fearful of sounding too aggressive. So she told the dean that she had come to law school to better understand her husband's career, and that maybe one day it would lead to a part-time job. I was 22 years old when I first heard this story from Justice Ginsburg, and I loved this story. I loved knowing that when she began to study law, she had no idea where it would eventually take her. It made the world seem full of incipient possibilities, and it meant that it was okay to start something, even if you did not know how it would end. I embarked on a career in teaching Torah, not knowing how it would unfold. 15 years ago, none of us getting Semikha today could have predicted that we would be here. We are in the process of discovering what ordination means for us and where we will go with it. Leadership often involves stepping into the unknown and being surprised by where you end up. When Moshe is first called to lead the people of Israel, he demurs, saying, Lo ish dvarim anochi. I am not a man of words. The Midrash Tanchuma points out the irony that 40 years later, the same Moshe says, Ele hadvarim, and proceeds to give an unimaginably long speech that spans most of the book of Dvarim. The Midrash says, Hapesh amar lo ish dvarim anochi amar ele hadvarim. The same mouth that said, I'm not a man of words, also said, these are the words. What changes for Moshe in that time? I think there are two major shifts. First, Moshe discovers that he has a lot to say. He has learned Torah with God, dealt with 2 generations of intractable Israelites, and confronted the major powers of his time. Moshe has experiences and knowledge and advice that no one else does, and he knows that he alone can communicate his message. The second shift, though, is that Moshe now has an audience. At first he worried, V'hein lo ya'aminu li v'lo yishma'u b'koli. The people will not believe me and will not listen to me. Now, though, 40 years later, Moshe is confident that the people of Israel will pay attention to his words. A large part of learning Torah and teaching Torah is discovering that we have something to say. At first, it is common to feel, lo ish dvarim anochi. The world of Torah is so established and so thick that we can worry that we have nothing of our own to contribute. As we learn more, if we are fortunate, we discover that we have our own voices in Torah, a way of thinking, of reading, a particular perspective that is ours alone. We are not just empty cisterns holding our teacher's Torah. Instead, we are living springs overflowing with our own thoughts. But it is not enough to have something to say. In order to speak freely and to develop a voice, you have to know that others will listen to you and will be interested in hearing your thoughts. I am grateful to Drisha and the other institutions that have taught me for helping me to find my voice. And I'm proud to be a part of Yeshivat Maharat, a yeshiva in which students can cultivate their learning and ideas so that each woman knows that she has important Torah to share. Yeshivat Maharat also works with communities and supporters to ensure that each newly ordained rabbi will have a community that is eager to hear what she has to say. Like Moshe Rabbeinu and Justice Ginsburg, we are walking down a road that is still being built, and I wanted to thank you all for being a part of our journey.
Dr. Erin Leib Smokler, please rise. Achotenu, at hayi le'alfei revava.
I'm not sure whether to call her doctor or rabbi doctor. Dr. Erin Leib Smokler has been found worthy to be a spiritual leader, to teach the Jewish people and decide matters of Jewish law with a degree of Torah b'isur v'heter. Esther בת נחמה רבקה ומשה אליעזר הכהן נמצאה ראויה להיות מנהיגה רוחנית, להורות לבני ולבנות ישראל. על כן סמכינן אותה בסמיכה ומותרת לפסוק בענייני הלכה על פי תורה באיסור והיתר.
Baruch Shechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Today feels momentous, so full and so fraught. It is the culmination of one journey and the beginning of another, an affirmation of a path long taken with so many of you, and the inauguration of one yet to unfold. It all feels so very weighty, like a veritable Sinai moment. Sinai was, of course, characterized by a grand sound and light show. Not quite on display here, but we had a bit. There was thunder and lightning, smoke and horns. the pyrotechnics were stunning, and they were also frightening. Shmot 20:15 tells us, "V'chol ha'am ro'im et hakolot ve'et halapidim ve'et kol hashofar ve'et hahar ashan vayar ha'am vayanu'u vayamdu merachok." All the people saw the thunder and lightning, the blare of the horn, and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they fell back and stood at a distance. Too much noise, too much stimulation, too much God, it seemed, overwhelmed the people. Moshe, however, leader of the people in this moment as in all others, had a different experience at Sinai. Of him we are told, "Vayamod ha'am merachok, u'Moshe nigash el ha'arafel, asher sham ha'Elohim." The people remained at a distance while Moshe approached the Arafel, the thick fog where God was. To truly encounter God at Sinai, Moshe entered the Arafel, the place without flashing lights and crashing sounds, the place of cloudiness, even a little darkness. Moshe, who spoke to God panim el panim, face to face, truly communed with God in this in-between space, in a domain of ambiguity, in a blurry space of not fully knowing and not fully seeing. He intuited that Sham ha'Elokim, there is where God resides. Rabbi Nachman of Bretzlav taught, "V'zeh perush ha'pasuk, vaya'amod ha'am merachok, ki kshero'im ha'arafel, hainu ha'mini'ah, omdim merachok, u'Moshe shehu b'chinat da'at kol Yisrael, nigash el ha'arafel, asher sham ha'Elokim, hainu el ha'mini'ah, sheba be'atzma nistar Hashem yitbarach." This is the meaning of the verse, "And the people remained at a distance." When one encounters fog, that is, that which obstructs God, one tends to stand back. But Moshe, who is the wisdom of Israel, approached the Arafel where God was. He went into the obstruction because he understood that in it lies hidden the Holy One. I stand before you today with this humble aspiration, not to encounter God in blinding light, but to find intimations of God in the murky darkness. There is so much of that in the world, so much Arafel. All of my life I have been a seeker of and a teacher of the Torah of the night. I pray that I might be able to find God there and to continue to enable others to approach as well.
I would like to acknowledge the presence of Rabbi Dov Linzer, Rosh HaYeshiva of Yeshivat Cultivating Torah, and Rav Nati Helfgott, President of the International Rabbinic Fellowship. Thank you for coming. In solidarity with Am Yisrael and Medinat Yisrael and Tzva Haganah Yisrael, Birshut, Rabbi Sarah, Rav Jeff, Yedidi, Rav Daniel Spurba, Ariel, to whom we owe so much. Where is Ariel? And Abigail, where is Abigail? With gratitude. Claudia, Tali, Melissa, Dina, Laya, Wendy, and Erin, we're forever grateful to you. With your Chag HaSmicha, we've reached a new milestone. You can tell it by this large crowd. Your class of 7 is our largest yet. Numbers have meaning. The number 7 relates to Kiddusha, holiness of time, place, and person. 7 is the number of Shabbat, time. 7 is the number of the 7 species, the Shivat Haminim of the land of Israel, space. 7 is the number of love, Sheva Brachot, people. May you bring holiness to every moment, every space, every individual with whom you have contact. And with your receiving Semikha, Torah, Yeshivat Maharat has now ordained 26 rabbis. "26 is the number of the holiest name of God, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Wherever you walk, wherever you go, wherever you travel, may you walk, go, and travel with God. Not only do you impact collectively, but individually. So much has been said and more can be said about each of you, but in one word, for you, Claudia, it's your creativity. Tali, your depth. Melissa, your joyfulness. Dina, your dynamism. Laya, your integrity. Wendy, your scholarship. Erin, your spirituality. While much has been accomplished, much more needs to be done. Too many in our community view women spiritual leaders as interfacing primarily with women. Such is not the case. As Maharat Rachel Cole Feingold of our first class and Maharat for many years at the Shar HaShamayim in Montreal recently said, while 90% of my image is gendered, 90% of my work is non-gendered. Your large class of graduates will continue to make clear that women in spiritual leadership transcend gender. Your class makes clear that women in spiritual leadership transcend gender. And if I can ask everyone to rise for a final bracha. I know I speak for everyone when saying, Me'omek libenu, we bless you with the song of Miriam's well in this week's Parsha. Ali ve'er enula. Ali ve'er, rise up, reach beyond your grasp, higher and higher. Enula, listen and respond with strong leadership, Torah scholarship, halachic expertise in being poskot and decisors of Jewish law, pastoral sensitivity to your community, all of Am Yisrael and beyond. Ali ve'er enula. Every single neshama in this space turns to you. And me'omek libenu we say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your courage, because friends, this is not simple. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your courage. Chizku v'imtzu. It's your time. It's your time. Go out there. Go out there and impact and inspire Am Yisrael and change the world. Chizku v'imtzu. Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha. Ivdu et Hashem. Fana birnana, fana birnana. No, Ivdu et Hashem, Ivdu. Dr. Sarna. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la,
again to Atara, to Ariel, to the maintenance team, and Brian, and thank you everybody for coming. What a wonderful, wonderful night.